Today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house? Finance or insure a house? Or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePaola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition. It's Florida Talk Real Estate, and we got you for the next 2 hours of infotainment. Thanks for being there. 921-1017, that's the old terrestrial radio. Appreciate you very much. Maybe, just maybe, you're using your free download, your iHeartRadio app. We happen to be worldwide, if that's the case. It doesn't get much bigger than that. Just pointing that out on a Saturday morning. And of course, we live stream. There's a lot of effort put in on a Saturday morning, setting up lights and cameras. If you'd like to join the live stream, please do. If you're there already, thank you very much. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, live streaming away. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. That's on YouTube, home of a ton of informational chunk videos, plus a live stream on a Saturday. If you're there, thank you very much. If you're not, you can join at any time. And speaking of joining, you can join the program live. We are live on this 25th day of July. Beautiful South Florida day. If you got questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate, if you'd like to be involved with the conversation at hand, dial in 877-927-6969. If you choose to do that, the first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, my brother from another mother, Jimothy. What up, dude?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen. Happy Saturday. Glad to be here with you.
Always a pleasure, my man.
Good to see you, Johnny.
Dude. Ray of sunshine, as I like to put it, as you open the door for me. I didn't even have to text this morning. It's like, were we synced up? Or like, was there... You're like, oh, somebody's
a month too?
I think Johnny's here. Yeah, I think so. Well, I think we synced up on that years ago.
Many years. That's what happens when you're with each other.
But did you get a little itch in the sack or something?
Yeah,
You're like, Johnny's here.
Yeah,
because all of a sudden the door opened. I didn't even have to text you.
I had to scratch it.
It was a little scratch right there in the bung hole.
There it is.
Nice.
Ooh, all right.
Good to see you, my dude.
Get a good scotch in that bung hole.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Johnny C., that's me, your old buddy, your old pal. Music ran out, but I can still say good morning to the very important people. Like Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. That's signifying that I went way too long. That's what that means, Mike.
Well, that was quite the sojourn there, the journey.
Sojourn?
Yeah, a little...
a
path through Jimothy's body areas. Interesting.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you took us to several different areas.
Hold on a second. You went to his body?
Oh, maybe I misunderstood what you guys were talking about.
Right. You remember what a bunghole is, right?
Get your
I
mind
remember.
out of the
We defined that on the air.
Right. That's the hole in a casket.
A cask, yeah.
Yeah, casket. Yeah, or cask, I guess.
Yeah.
I shouldn't call it a casket, should I?
Casket,
A cask.
No, because that's where the wine goes to
If you want to get into the cask and sample said beverage in there,
or empty it out or fill it.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
You're going to go in through the bunghole.
That's right.
Right.
And out.
Correct.
Yep. True enough.
Thank you, sir.
So good morning. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Yeah, Jimothy, glad to hear everything's okay down there.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mike. Good to see you, bud.
You'll be synced up before you know it, dude.
Yeah.
You'll be synced up. Me and Jimothy have been together a long time.
Yeah.
You've been with us a long time, but I guess not long enough to sync up yet.
Did you guys both notice the moon last night?
No. I noticed Mercury's no longer in retrograde though, because things got way better the
that's
next
what
day.
it is.
Yeah. Yesterday was such a lift. We'll get to our fearless leader. He'll tell you. Man, I don't know. I don't know if you guys recognize it or not, but I uttered the words to my wife several times this week. I'm like, this is the weirdest week. I think I'm communicating with all the dumbest people. I could not convey anything. I had all these messages showing up late, and then I find out yesterday, we finally got out of retrograde.
So it was in how long?
It ended on the 23rd. On the 24th, things got better.
How long was it in retrograde?
It's like a week.
3 weeks. Oh, yeah.
Oh, 3 weeks? Oh, I don't know. For me, it hit hard.
To a crescendo for you.
It hit hard Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And then Friday, of all days, it went away. That's great.
Thank you.
It's a hell of a start to the weekend.
Great way to start a weekend.
It could be why the mortgage rates had a little trouble this week. Probably because Mercury.
I guess we'll find out. A little look into what we're talking about later. Let's continue to say good morning. We have I don't know if you know the pivotal cog, the cog piece the Florida Home Pros team.
I remember that nickname.
Yes. He's joining us on this Saturday.
Chris the cog piece.
That's right.
Let's not start that
Just
trend.
Chris the cog. Chris the cog.
The Florida Home Pros team. There's Chris Pederson. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today?
Awesome. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah.
I feel like it's been way too long since we started this show for me to say good morning, but good morning.
We do get a little juvenile at this part of the show.
So that's the worst part. Like if you let me crack the mics,
Yeah.
well, guess what?
Trouble.
Guess what? And that's Jim's like, yeah, that's my life.
We got to
14
get
plus
all
years
the laughs out before we get into the serious.
I guess.
Real estate.
Something like that.
You know.
Well, you're cut the same way. Jimothy too. Like we have it all penned up.
Yeah.
Used to get it out of her system 5 days a week.
On a regular,
now,
yeah.
Or
So,
6 days now.
a little
it's
more
really
tape.
one.
We got 2 hours to go ahead and squeeze as much as we can. Infotainment, as we like to call it. And that's because our fearless leader allows and directs. And for 14 plus years now, I've told you, he runs a top producing Keller Williams team, the Florida Home Pros team. That's where the cog piece works there. It's Jimmy D. Jim DePola. Hi, D.
Hey, happy South Florida, everybody. Mike,
So let's talk about retrograde real quick, because I know it affects you
Yeah,
massively.
so I was going to ask about the moon thing first. Did you think it was a full moon already? Is that why you were asking?
No, but
Did
it
you
was
look at the
out
moon?
and it was low in the sky
Mhm.
when I saw it.
Yeah,
And then these
so-
two were synced up, so I was kind of making a joke about whether they're actually in tune.
Yeah.
If they're watching the moon or not.
So Wednesday is the
Somewhere
full. I looked it up because I
out there.
We're just a few days
like
away.
the
Yeah.
full- yeah, Wednesday is the full moon. It's going to be called a buck moon,
The buck.
and the reason why they call it that is that's when the deers get their velvety antlers
Antlers.
grow at the beginning.
Nice.
And it's also called a thunder moon, berry moon, or salmon moon is the other names for this moon. This happened to be July full moon.
Probably depends on where in the world you are.
Yeah.
Get some different colors and
Yep.
Yeah, it makes
What do
sense.
they
right?
call it if you're on the moon? What kind of bird? What kind of bird is
The
it?
moony moon. Call it ground.
Yeah. So we do have a lot to talk about today. We are going to be talking about interest rates, Mike, and we're going to talk about like the 6-month overview of the South Florida market. There were a lot of surprising things that happened over the last 6 months with this market. And the big question is it overall an up market or a down market? And we're going to go over that a little bit. Chris has been really delving into the investor world, finding investment properties for a lot of people. And what we're finding is I've been helping him out. There's a lot of really decent deals out there, right, Chris? Right now, opportunities out there.
there are. Yeah. Sorry, I was having an IT issue here. I got kicked out of the system.
Program.
So yeah, no, there's we've got several clients that are looking for different investment properties out there, and we've been digging deep into some of these. And there was one that came across my radar this week that was pretty interesting, and it's a example of what's out there. It's in the Fort Lauderdale area, real close to the beach. It's a triplex, so multifamily home. It's fully renovated. They did a fantastic job a couple of years ago. But it has the neat part for Airbnb is that it's got a heated pool that all 3 units share, and then it's got a little putting green next to it, and so it's a active Airbnb host as well. So in 2025 they did about $130,000 of revenue,
Nice.
and then this year they're in the first quarter they've already done about $49,000. So you're looking at potentially, growing that Airbnb money as well. So, that house is listed at a little over $900,000. So it could be see if the numbers work out right, but it could be a good opportunity for somebody out there.
Huh.
You just you went very detailed, Chris, right now.
Yeah,
So we're going to talk about more, and not just that property.
That's
but
an
we're gonna go into
example.
more, yeah,
That's an example.
And we are
Yeah.
going to talk about that deal because it's a good deal. And we do have a couple people we're going to be calling this week on it. But if this sounds like something you're interested in, give us a call. We're going to get into that also. We're also
TalkRealestate.com.
Yep. We are also going to be talking about. I'm sorry. Hold on here 1 second. Let me see here.
Of course, FloridaTalkRealestate.com on Facebook, on YouTube. Sorry.
About that. We're also going to, we'll probably round out with just kind of an update of what's happening with the Florida property tax thing. lots of little twists and turns. U.S. Senator Rick Scott came out with his views of what's happening with this and whether he thinks that people should vote for it or not. There's been a bunch of lawsuits trying to stop the vote from even happening. So we'll go over that a little bit towards the end of the show.
I'm curious what Rick Scott's take is. I didn't consume any of that, and I haven't really read any lawsuits throwing up any breaks or trying to. So I'm curious.
Yeah,
what we
so
get into
there's
here. That's awesome.
there's a whole bunch of people now
Can't wait.
coming out of the woodwork right now, and which was to be expected. That's what happens in all the other states that tried to do the same thing we're trying to do right now. So nothing out of the ordinary, but what's going to happen, we don't know. Johnny, I hate to bring this up, but I am anyway. That
Sounds like you're really not going to enjoy this.
it's,
Whatever it is.
You're now 50-50 on guessing what was going to happen. You were totally right about the
About half of the things.
wait, what was the thing you were right on that I didn't think you were going to be right on? I forgot. There was something that we disagreed about.
In regards to,
I don't remember even the subject.
It was
something about a
on
vote.
this subject, and it
Was
was
it?
whether it's going to even be on the ballot or not. And
Oh.
you predicted that they wouldn't even get on the ballot, and Johnny's like, yeah, pretty sure it's already like pretty much most of the way there.
And then the next
the
week,
very next week.
yeah,
it's- on
thank
the
you,
ballot.
Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. So you're 100% right on that. I was wrong. But they did shut down the Tango project out in the data center.
they did not.
Well,
They did not.
they
They did not.
they shut it down where it's not moving forward the way it exists right now, and they have
No,
to
the
go
way it
back
exists,
and
the way it
retweak
exists, it's still going to happen. The expansion plan, they're like, whoa, you guys kind of shoehorned that in. We're going to have to revisit that. But it's still happening in the form that it was happening. The expansion got roadblocked temporarily.
So is there going to be a data center?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure of that. I don't know if I agree with that or not.
Yeah, reading more about it. Yeah, the expansion of the there's the first phase is still approved and going forward.
happening.
It was exactly. It's the expansion of
They're
that
not
data
gonna-
center.
My thing is, they're probably not going to break down on what they're approved for if they're asking for two times that size. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to wait and try to go for the whole enchilada. And I think that
No, it's the process is already that's in
Yeah.
play. That's been in play. This is all about the expansion, and it was veiled in we can stop Project Tango. It's like no. Project Tango is happening.
Yeah.
It's at what scale is it going to
Is it
happen?
going to be the current?
And they
approved-
basically they didn't say no, we're not expanding it. They said, oh, you can't squeeze it in on the original approval. We'll have to revisit it. So essentially, what they said was, not enough people getting a taste. We'll put this together. This is a little hasty.
Oh.
That's kind of how it went down.
that's what I'm thinking is that they're coming back to revisit that. But
The
right now it's
expansion.
shut
The
down.
expansion. No. The
I bet
original.
you that my thing is I don't think they're going to go forward with the smaller project if they want the bigger project because that's not cost effective in the long run.
The bigger project will happen too.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
don't
not
know
happening
right now, but they voted no on it right now.
They voted on like saying
Recon-
we're
reconsidering.
gonna revisit this.
Yeah, reconsider.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right.
So
Which is just kick it down the road a little
Yeah,
bit
exactly.
further and
Yep,
have
yep.
another
Right.
decision about it.
A cost analysis. Who's getting paid?
I think that's
what you're saying, John?
for me, and that just be my supremely
Well,
cynical view. But
yeah.
yes.
well,
yes.
who's getting paid is what I found out was because I couldn't understand why cities or governments would be so interested in these things because what I don't understand, they take up a lot of space. They're energy monsters, right? So they eat a lot of electricity.
We're going to be
They
a hotbed
create
for it.
environmental and air pollutant problems, right? So it's like, why would people even want to consider this? The taxing that they get is crazy. And the other thing is you hardly have any employees. So it isn't like it isn't like you're starting an auto manufacturing plant. You have all these people working there. So I'm like, what's the benefit? And I went from, doing research, the amount of type of taxes that those facilities get charged are crazy. And it isn't just property taxes. They tax every single computer that's in there. Think about like bit mining I know a little bit more about, all those computers that are mining full time. Well, when you have that type of facility, you get taxed on each single piece of equipment that's in there. And you're taxed at a very high rate. And those pieces of equipment have a very short lifespan. So you're taxing these at a very high level, and then when they buy new ones, you're able to collect these extra taxes that you wouldn't have if you just had a regular facility there that you're just getting property taxes off of. You get this extra money from it, and it's like crazy money when I was
It's a
looking
good
at
source
it.
of revenue.
So you're saying who's getting paid? It's the government's getting paid to pay for quote services.
I think Johnny's saying what's it going to take to get this approved?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
because
contractors are involved.
it also involves a lot of taxpayer dollars to subsidize the building of it, and that's all got to be approved.
And that's why I'm not that confident right now. I think that will happen. Will it happen right there where they're planning on putting it? I don't really think it is, and I might be wrong.
Yeah, so it is to the first phase that was approved long ago. Again, the idea that this was going to be a definitive whether it's going to be there or not going to be there. It was laid out poorly the whole time. The media laid it out poorly. That wasn't the case.
Yeah,
it's happening. It's just at what scale right now.
The headline sounded like what Jim was saying. It
Right.
was 4-1 vote or unanimous vote to
they know
knock
most
it
people
down.
aren't going to click.
I
through
was
and
thinking,
read.
I was like, but they're already like well under construction. Like, how do you get to a point where you're getting shut down when you've already spent however much they spent
Right.
developing?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that site's already in the works,
That
right?
goes back
happening.
to 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long ago it was approved. It's happening.
10
Just at what scale right now? And it feels like a win right now. It's
Which-
it's just not.
It may be to Jim's point, which is like conceived in 2016, started, but then it's like, wait a second, our requirements have changed so much. I mean, so much has happened in the AI world since 2016
Facts.
that the requirements for data centers are completely different than
You're
probably
na-
what
you're-
was conceived initially.
You're nailing it, Mike.
Yeah.
You're
And
nailing it.
there's another side to it too, because the expansion plans are a key part of the so they like the old equipment, they don't just it doesn't just go away. I mean they will redivert the existing servers and everything for other lower power AI type scenarios as they're bringing in the new investment, because the new investment is where they're bringing in the most current technology with that can run the AI agentic models that are even more self-learning. They require more power, more computing power,
yeah.
so they use the other ones for the more normal
The
processing.
mundane,
The mundane,
cloud
exactly.
hosting and things like that.
Well, this is where they'll pull into, like we talked about, a couple weeks ago, where they'll start incentivizing people to use solar at their home. That the AI companies, these companies will buy the power from you.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to require more and more and more and more and more and more resource. You have to keep it going. Yep.
Until they come up with a different way to power this stuff.
Well, until Skynet takes over.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they're doing all the nuclear
quantum
power.
nuclear,
Yeah.
nuclear. Nuclear.
Also, supposedly the quantum computers use they use the energy differently, the quantum computers. And that's supposed to be like the next step after AI is going to be quantum computing, from what I understand.
Awesome.
So, that's what I hear. I don't know. So anyway, I just think that I'm not as pessimistic because I think this data center being so close to everything is not a good idea. I don't think it's well thought out. I'm worried about the environmental factors. The water system in Florida is so porous. Everything is doing underneath, limestone underneath our feet.
Getting saltier and saltier
Yeah,
by the day.
it's like there's just too many things that are pretty scary. And then the fact that how much energy it's going to use and who's going to pay for that.
And it's not a big job creator, although
And
it does
it's not a
generate
big
revenue.
job creator. It'll probably be a couple of dozen employees at that plant, even if they have the big, gigantic one.
And if you look at the environmental that just oozes off the outside of these things, it's just enough to make you go.
It's kind of like, to me, it's like jumping the gun. Remember fracking, and people would turn on their pipes in their house, and there would be fire coming out of the pipes.
That's pretty extreme, but yes,
But it was happening, right?
it did
And
happen.
It was happening. Not happening as much anymore because things got under control. It's like, hey, maybe we should have some regulations about related to this.
Regulation helps. It does.
But we'll see what happened. Going through major changes here in Palm Beach County and South Florida related to that. Let me see. Chris, I forget, did you put anybody under contract this week? I can't remember. Did
Review
the
time.
people in Orlando, right?
We did, yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually, it happened at the over the weekend, last weekend, we got Aquila and Desmond under contract for their property that they're buying for their son, and it goes to UCF. And so this week was all the inspection week, and yesterday was the close of the inspection period, and we're moving forward.
Cool.
Excellent,
Awesome.
excellent. And Chris, and this I'm telling this for other people that might have kids that are just coming into college age, or they're in college and they're thinking, "Wow, I'm paying a lot of money for housing." Is that right?
Yes.
So one of the things that you did is that you did actual financial calculations to showing the difference between living in a dorm, just renting a place off campus, and then buying something, and then using that for the child, and maybe even another person or two that would rent out a room or something while they were there.
Yeah.
And the cost of each of those scenarios and what it looked like. And that's why Desmond and Aquila decided to.
Yeah,
forward.
that was so definitely it was kind of twofold. One, their son would not have to be moving back and forth and from place to place every year. But you're roughly talking, back of the napkin, $20,000 a year just for, housing expense. And so over 4 to 6 years, that adds up significantly. And so they were able to get it by looking at a 2-bedroom. We were able to basically offset half of their expenses, and instead of flushing down $20,000 a year to some other landlord, their portion is going to building further equity, and then they have somebody else paying the other half of it. So
And they get the $5 a head cover charge.
yeah,
Per,
exactly.
Per party.
For the keggers. Yeah, for the keggers.
It's for the solo cup.
Yeah,
It covers the
for the
charge
cup.
of the cup. That's right.
So, yeah. So,
Hey, Chris, he said 4 to 6 years. I'm thinking they're hoping for 4.
The 6 to 10 plan.
Well, I mean, like in Orlando, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of students that go up to UCF because they're
Post-grad.
working for the theme parks and so forth. So a lot of them don't move immediately, so they're staying in the area, and
True.
then they're already kind of set in their housing situations.
Yeah.
They don't have to go through all of that at when you're just starting to make your own money. So,
It's not just the super seniors
yeah, exactly.
on the 5 and 6 year
Yes.
grad plan.
Yeah, that's amazing when that works out in their favor like that. What an advantageous situation to fall into there, because financially it just makes sense for them, and they're able to, and they thought through it, and they got a good team like Florida Talk Real Estate, and crunch the numbers. That's awesome. That works out so well.
Does it like the fact that it's generally a touristy area probably would you'd lean on the side of buying an investment property, right? It could cash flow for them for many years.
Well, yeah, I mean, they could decide to, when their son graduates, you can maintain the property as a rental property for other students for the foreseeable future. So the actual house that they're buying, the current owner has been using it as a rental property for students for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And so she's just
Track
ready to
record.
move on to her next endeavor. Yeah.
Awesome. Good for them.
And we talked about DSCR loans last week. The DSCR loan is a very, it's not the only investment loan you
that
could
service, I remember.
do. Yeah.
That
Nice.
service.
Got it.
Good
I
job.
finally remembered
Can
it.
you get the whole thing? The
No,
C and the
debt
R?
service, credit ratio,
Coverage.
coverage. Wait, coverage ratio? Debt service coverage, right, coverage.
Yeah, debt service
Coverage.
coverage.
I think next
Coverage.
week you'll have it all.
Yeah, I might
Yeah,
have it on
yeah.
next week.
I didn't have any of it until you said
4
it. I was like,
words.
nice.
You didn't
2 weeks.
remember debt service, Johnny?
No, I'm
We
kidding.
talked for an hour
Of
last
course
week.
I did.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
When Jim said debt service, I was like, yes.
That's
so
where-
so
that's
those
where my-
loans are good loans for investors because it's kind of like an easier way to qualify, and the analysis for qualifying is probably very similar to your own. Like, is this a good investment analysis? Meaning, is it going to pay for itself? And so those loans are pretty popular for that. The rates are attractive. It's not that you could still do a traditional investment purchase, and there may be a slight rate advantage, but it could be the rate is worse. So the DSCRs are kind of like where
And
it's at.
what's
as
the
far as-
normal down payment for DSCR?
You want to be thinking 20% down.
20%?
Yeah, I think there's probably one where you go as low as 15% down, but 20% is kind of where it's
20%?
at. Minimum, yeah.
And then just out of curiosity, if you're doing a DSCR loan and the properties like the triplex that Chris is talking about, where it's pulling in $128,000 a year and they
Yeah.
have books to show it, let's
yeah,
say,
yeah.
would that count for DSCR? Because usually I only hear about long-term rentals.
Yeah, and so when you do like a conventional investment purchase, it's only ever, and you want to use the rental income for qualifying, it's only ever the long-term, year-long lease. And DSCR, for the most part, they prefer the year-long rental number. So what's an annual rent? But you can definitely do short-term rental
But
analysis
you just have to make it
if
work
there's
with
a
the
track
long-term
record
rent.
for it. Yeah.
Oh, if there's a track
Yeah,
record?
yeah, especially if there's a track record, and you could, because
Okay.
that can oftentimes make the difference. Because the Airbnb income. What did you say they brought in?
$128,000 last year.
Yeah, so they're bringing in $10,000 a month. Like, would that maybe a triplex could rent for that on annual leases? Maybe, like $3,000. I don't know what kind of rooms or they're
Yeah,
like
it'd probably be a little shy of the 10
yeah.
grand a month.
So definitely, there's
It's got
more.
a putting green. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And a heated pool.
And a
So
heated
it's like
pool.
year round.
Yeah.
So you can use the
AJ
track
said
record of the short-term rentals instead of what it would be an annual, and presumably it's more money. So therefore, you can kind of qualify for the bigger mortgage payment.
Right.
But that also goes in line with your own analysis for cash flow, which as the investor, and if it sounds like Chris is kind of doing some of that legwork for people, which is a really great resource. A lot of
Amazing.
people I want to get into buying investment property and they have no idea what they should really be looking at. Like, part of it is, can I get a loan? The other part is like, is this a
Is
good
it gonna
investment?
cash flow?
Right? Is
Yeah.
it going to cash flow? And is it is there enough space for long-term capital expenses? And is it a property that nobody can really predict the market, but is it a property where over the long term you can anticipate
Growth.
positive appreciation, right? So, and if Chris is like kind of making himself, maybe you already are, because you've done investment
I've
stuff.
done
and
that a few
Jim's
times
done
myself,
investment in the past, and so
Yeah, they
like,
definitely understand the ratios, the margins. What it takes. Yeah.
So to have professionals who can kind of, you say, hey, I'm looking to do this, and they're like, oh, great, I got some ideas. Let's figure out how to put this together. That's a good thing that you're not going to find that with every agent.
No. That's amazing. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We talk about a team of pros. There's just one little shining example of, you got to go to people that are great at what they do. Lots of people that are good at what they do. And you can find, believe me, more than enough people that suck at what they do. They're out there. Many right now are nodding their heads. They're like, yeah, worked with them. But if you can have an opportunity to go to people that are just phenomenal at what they do, care about your outcome, that's really ultimately the result they're looking for, your best outcome. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thank you, Johnny. I also want to do a shout out to Loretta. Loretta came to me several weeks ago, and she lives in a really nice membership equity community called Aberdeen and Boynton Beach. Very well known for the amenities it has. It has a professionally designed golf course by Jim Fazio, and it's got, I think, 5 restaurants in the
It's a
community
complex.
itself.
It's like a little city.
It is a little city. It has tennis ball and pickleball and 3 pools and a whirlpool and and
They have
any
putting
ameni-
greens?
any. I'm sorry,
They
what?
have putting greens.
Yeah, they actually do have putting
Oh,
greens
yeah.
and a driving range.
See? Important stuff.
But
What about chipping? Chipping?
I don't know about chipping. I don't know. I
If
don't
it's
know.
a golf course, of course they do.
But
Yeah, they do.
and it has almost any activity you could think of. Like if you want to meet friends or make friends, it's a great like social environment if you want to do
Criminal
do
activity?
that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know about criminal. Well, maybe
face up
Any
with advice
kind
against
of
that.
activity you
yeah,
want.
any kind of activity.
Yeah.
So
Bingo.
so we're going to be putting this unit on the market very soon. We took the photos yesterday. We're going to have it now. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a townhouse villa. I'm sorry, 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a den villa. It's got views of a lake, which is really nice. The unit is very nicely kept, move-in ready. Don't really have to do anything to move into it, and we're going to have it on the market only for $250,000. Now, the reason why it's so low price, because a unit like that would normally be in other communities that weren't membership equity. That unit could be worth maybe up to $400,000 in other communities, but there's a $90,500 membership equity that comes. So when you buy this unit, you can get the financing for the $250,000, but the $90,500 in membership equity, you have to pull that out of your pocket. So you have to look at buying that unit for like, in your mind, you're thinking, I'm really buying this for 340, right? 340,000, which is still a great deal to have all those amenities that we're talking about at your fingertips in a great gated community, very close, and also centrally located in Palm Beach County, very close to the beach. So if you're looking for that total Florida retirement kind of getaway lifestyle or just lifestyle, but you don't want to pay the big bucks of some of these other communities where you're paying 600, 700, 800 million dollars for the homes, this is a really great opportunity for that. So this will be coming on the market Monday.
Nice.
So if anybody has a buyer for that, or you're thinking, hey, that sounds like it's for me, give us a call and we'll get you into the house and show you what's going on.
Yeah,
Love
if
that.
you're looking for like that golf retirement, like Aberdeen has to be one of the on your list of ones that you're looking at. You know what I mean?
Desirable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, there's a community right down the road from this called Hunter's Run.
Mm-hmm.
And we had done a story about this a couple of months ago where maybe it was last year where some of the condos in Hunter's Run were selling for $1. Remember, they were closing for $1 and $15. And people were like, really? Are you really selling it for $1? And the answer was, yes, they were really selling for $1. But they had a big membership equity, six-figure membership equity. And then their monthly fees are very, very high. It's like $1,500 a month, plus $115,000 membership equity, and plus you have to buy some type of social kind of membership or tennis membership on top of everything else.
Yeah. So people are like, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah, and so people were just
I gotta
fleeing. So the
leave.
condos over there, which are a little bit smaller than the place that we're looking at, those units. I had a gentleman who came to me 3 weeks ago. Somebody from the show said, you got to call Jim. He inherited one of those condos over there in Hunter's Run, and he was the executor of the estate. The estate ran out of money to pay the HOA dues, the condo dues and everything, and the taxes, and he couldn't sell it. And he had 4 realtors come out, and some of them were very seasoned realtors, and they were like, I don't want to take the deal. I can't sell it for anything. Well, I met with them and came up with the same thing. And I said, you know what? I might try to go ahead and sell it for you just for the experience for the show, if you let me talk about what it's like selling in a dead neighborhood in the show. But I interviewed a whole bunch of agents in that neighborhood, and I found this one person who specializes in only selling those condos in that community. And some of them she was selling for $15,000. And some of the units over there, same exact condo, could sell for $400. It was just a matter of
$400?
$400,000.
Oh,
So the range was $1 to $400,000 for these condos. Now the ones that were fixed up, brand new, everything, they were getting like normal resale market value, like $375 to $400.
Huh.
But if the house needs
Old.
everything, it was like completely time capsule. You couldn't sell those because most of the people didn't want to buy the unit even for $1, fix the whole thing up, pay all those membership equities. They're retired. They just don't want to deal with all that
and investors weren't really.
because of the membership
Because, yeah.
equity.
Yeah.
So what this lady has, and I just found this out, I called the guy about 2 weeks after I met him, and said I didn't want to take the listing, but I gave him that lady's number, the realtor's number, and said, if you're going to sell it, I would talk to this lady first. And the first plan, number one, was to go to the community directly and ask the community to buy them out. And the community has been quietly buying these condos out
Okay.
so that they're not going on the market for $1 anymore.
Yeah.
And then they were going in and fixing them up with a contractor and then selling it back on the market at retail value. So what I found out is I called the guy 2 weeks later and I go, did you decide what you're going to do with the property? He goes, yeah, I already sold it. I'm like, really? How did you do that? And he goes, I called the realtor that you recommended, and she has an investor that bought it for around $15,000. And I said, so she found somebody who's willing to pay the membership equity, an investor that's willing to do that. And he goes, well, if you live in the community and you buy one of these units, you don't have to pay the membership equity because you've already paid
They're
it.
already a member.
They're already a member.
So that's
They're
was a
already
really good honey hole for an investor that lives in Hunter's Run. They can go in there and pick up these units for $15,000 put 100,000 into them. 100,000 is more than enough to make it look gorgeous.
I think you
Right.
just ruined someone's stage.
And then, why are you saying
The
that?
secret's
away
out.
his
The
I don't
secret's
care. I
out
don't care.
now.
It was the guy's brilliant. Whoever the guys over there doing it, brilliant.
Yeah, as long as it stays his secret.
Well, you got to move into Hunter's Run in order to do it. But anyway, it's what I'm trying to show is the point I'm trying to make is that community has also big membership equities, but the community hasn't been handling them right, and people are selling their units for pennies on the dollar. And
Yeah.
over here, the property values are holding up over here.
Yeah.
So
And that can kind of snowball for a community because you're like pushing out paying members. You're not replacing them with paying members, and all of a sudden you got budget problems on your
yeah,
with your
exactly.
community.
You have to
Yeah.
worry about it all.
Yeah.
So just wanted to say, Loretta, thank you for trusting us. We'll have that house on the market Monday. Looking
Awesome.
forward to helping her getting that done. Let's go ahead and take a break real quick. And on the flip side, let's get right into, if we don't mind, I think we're going to start off with the market report first and interest rates. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to slide right into there. We'll try to get all this done in about a half hour, is why it's a great time, in my opinion, and apparently Chris's opinion too this morning, why it's a great time to buy right now. I mean, you're talking about right now in today's market, even after we talk about a little bit of jump in the interest rate. So we're going to get on that in just a bit.
Lots to get into. Thanks for being with us on a Saturday, live on this 25th day of July. You're welcome to join us at 877-927-6969. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, but you need pros, experts in their field, and boy, do they work cohesively together. If you're buying a home, selling a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do, you need professional guidance on anything that touches the world of real estate. Remember, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We're on Facebook and YouTube, live streaming on a Saturday. And of course, lots of resources for you to consume, chunk videos, like, share. I encourage you to do all the above because you can change lives, including your very own, with the pros of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. 4-minute reset. We're back at it on a Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment continues right here on Real Radio.
We're everywhere you need to be. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Real Radio weather.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl with CBS 12 News. Heat continues to build into the area. We're expecting temperatures to continue climbing. Low 90s is where we'll hit your afternoon highs. Showers and storms continue to build west of our area. We will continue to watch as that shower and storm coverage expands, so be ready with the umbrella for the rest of the day today.
This report is sponsored by Staples. All right, it's officially the most wonderful time of the year at Staples. They've got back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off select tech, 20% off for teachers, and more. Check out all the deals at staples.com/back-to-school. Staples, that was easy.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
You're always welcome to join us. 877-927-6969. Question, comment, concern on the world of real estate. If you'd like to be involved in the conversation at hand, don't be shy. Dial in. Jimothy will line you up. At least I think he will. I can assume. Hi, Jimothy. How are you, my friend?
Hello, good morning, and absolutely keep me busy over here.
Yeah, thank you very much for everything you do. It's good to see you, my friend. Johnny C, that's me, your old buddy, your old pal. We got Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm right over there. How are you, Mike?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
He's in studio. If you don't believe me, check us out live streaming on Facebook or on YouTube. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. He's right
believe
there
you.
live streaming.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
You've proven yourself trustworthy over the years.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people can trust you. The listeners.
I thought I established that a long time ago. I hope I haven't done anything to ruin it.
I'm a little skeptic. I'm going to go look.
You're like, I don't believe a word he says. Never have. Good to see you, Mike.
Yeah.
Chris Pederson's here as well. He's the cog piece for the Florida Home Pros team. Pivotal cog.
Vital
Cog piece.
We're never going to get to break away from
Florida Home Pros team.
You're gonna have to come up with something.
I mean, along with building trust with the audience, Johnny also has a keen ear for nicknames.
True.
You know, that stick.
This
That
is
are
true.
going to do it.
Yeah. Remember this one?
Hot Ross.
Yeah.
It has stuck. I did not come up with that, but it has stuck.
Yeah, you pushed it once you heard
Oh,
it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm great at pushing it.
You probably pushed creating the drop.
No, I don't ever do that. Jimothy will do that all on his own.
know.
We are the best. We are in the best hands when it comes to production. We have the best producer in the worord.
And you gave
if
me
you
mine.
want, if you want, he can showcase it. It just takes time and effort.
Yeah.
You have to pay him to do it.
Right? The first show I came in, Johnny gave me the
Mike the mortgage
Mike,
guy.
the mortgage guy.
True.
Just you didn't even see 2 seconds.
It's gotta have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do CPA to the stars for Jared
It
Barrett?
did. Yeah. And Sports Illustrated stole it.
Yeah, and then
twice.
I didn't know if you got it from Sports or SI
No,
or
that was way
they
before.
stole
He
it.
was on our show
They probably
before
listened
those
to
articles.
it. I think they listened to it and then
Yeah.
used it.
And got no credit. There should have been a little cliff note.
They should have. Yeah,
Credit Johnny C.
exactly.
Yeah. It's fine. Chris Peterson, always pleasure having you in studio, my friend.
Glad to be here.
Thank you very much for your time. And of course, our fearless leader, 14 plus years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. It's that Florida Home Pros team, Keller Williams Innovations. There's Jimmy D, Jim DePola. How you be?
Hey, I'm doing good. And the way that Hot Ross got his name, we know, is from Paul Krasker, right?
Which sounds weird, but yes.
Yeah, Paul Krasker named.
From the law offices of
A story
Paul
from
Krasker.
Paul.
Yes.
Yeah.
'cause
He related the
Paul
story.
teaches lots of classes to realtors about contract law and other things. And he was in one of those classes, and it just happened to be Ross was also there to talk about insurance to the class, the students. Anyway, during a break, Paul was sitting there, and he overheard a bunch of women in the back talking. It's like, oh, Hot Ross is coming. And then all the girls started talking and everything. They're all excited that Hot Ross was next. So Paul said, "Hey, do I have a nickname?" And they turned to him and go, "No."
Nope.
So Paul told us that story on the show, and then Ross was branded Hot Ross from that point.
Oh, he hates it.
Hot Ross.
He hates it so much too.
Which actually is a great segue to talk about Ross Kamaranex and Brightway Insurance. Juno Beach, the only office you should go to for Brightway Insurance.
You know it.
He's on his journey right now, pretty far along, where he is trying to save customers $500,000 in insurance costs just by asking him to give you a quote and see what he could do. He's already well past $311,000, which is where we were 2 weeks ago when Ross came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on track to hit his 500 right now. And the other thing is, we should mention, just little newsy here, is that insurance is down for the state of Florida, is down 8.7% compared to a year ago. And they're thinking that we will see continuing drops, knock on wood, continuing drops to come in the future. So this whole thing about, quote, the insurance crisis, this is also a tale of two cities now, because really we don't really have an insurance crisis anymore unless you have a deferred maintenance issue.
Right.
Like your roof is 25 years old and you got an asphalt shingle roof.
So I think
Then
the
your insurance could be really expensive.
crisis was truly defined where every year when you're even if you shopped your policies, you were spending more and more and more and more, and you were getting pops of 20, 30, 40%. That's a crisis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So the crisis is over. There was laws put in place. They said a lot of the crisis was a response to litigation. Like there was a case laid out for it. Ross gave us a roadmap of how long it was going to take for us to start seeing some results. It played out almost like perfectly, and we've only seen it steadily improve with every year moving forward. The results are proof's in the pudding, as they say, right? So we're seeing it happen. I'd like to see how it continues after a big storm.
That's what.
Like how do we rebound from that?
Yeah.
But things have been improving year after year for the last handful of years after we kind of threw the brakes on what you can and how you can sue in this state when it comes to suing your insurance. We were very fraudulent, and so many of us were paying because
Florida?
fraudulent.
What?
Yeah. So and I know the cynical view is all right, I guess we can lay it on that. We'll find out together. Well, we did find out together. It's less expensive and it gets better every year. And that's why Ross encourages you got to shop your policy. If you're just sitting on the same policy from 4 years ago, you're paying way more than you probably should.
For sure.
Yeah, and you may have even seen decreases.
You should have. Yeah.
You may have even seen it, but unless you've talked to Ross to like really shop it, your decrease you're seeing is with the same carrier. But
Yep.
you haven't compared it against other carriers that have maybe come back into the market or lowered their rates. So I think what Ross is encouraging people to do, and again, the proof, or you said something that made me laugh. I was like, oh, the results are in the consistency of the pudding. But his goal was he's like, I know I can save people money. I just got to talk to him. Like I got to be able to do it. And so of course he has a big book of existing business, which I'm sure he's actively, doing what he does, but also saying, hey, just call me. Like you can get this backdoor savings into your mortgage payment, right? If you're escrowed for taxes, you can kind of back into savings, and all you got to do is make a call, and I'm gonna give you apples for apples coverage, and it just might be cheaper.
That's the key.
That's an important point, is that Ross's goal is not just to get you a lower price, but to get equal coverage or better than what you have now.
Yeah, if you're going to just cut your coverage to save money, do it through your existing carrier. That's not Ross's motivation here. He doesn't want to have you with less coverage just to save. That's not how it's done. It's about giving you, like Mike said, apples to apples or better and save money. I saved about $1,000 a year and have better coverage. Water loss.
When I just purchased the place that I bought just recently, there was something I didn't do on my insurance policy because everything was a blur. I really haven't even looked all the paperwork yet or anything like it.
Yeah.
This was a complete blur when we did that. But he called me up. It's like, look, for $180 a year, you have a better water coverage. If you do this, you should do this, blah, blah, blah. And, of course I did. But I didn't even notice it. He just called me up to like, hey, and that's just the way that whole office is over there. It isn't just Ross, but
That's why they're
it
part of this
starts from
team.
the top.
Yeah, they fit perfectly on this team. Juno Beach.
Yes, Juno Beach, the only one. So give us a call. And Ross does statewide insurance, and he does auto insurance and other types of insurance. So
yeah, if you haven't shopped it, it's painless. I mean, I really can't make it any more clear. It is as painless as it gets. It's going to take about 10 minutes of your time, maybe 15 if you're a little slow. And I know you can squeeze 15 minutes in to maybe save some money. If you can't, all right, sorry.
I wanted to go over what's been happening in the real estate market for the last 6 months, for the first 6 months of this year. And the reason why is we really haven't been doing the monthly reports as much as I normally have done throughout the year, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the timing of when they came out. I know when June's came out, I was on vacation that week, so we didn't even get to June. We're already in July.
It's almost August.
Yeah, it's almost August time, right? So we're a little behind, but there were a lot of things when I went through it. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that this was happening in the market. Sometimes you get so busy being in the market, running around, helping a bunch of customers, and you're not looking at the big picture. I thought it was a good time to take a look at that. So let me just do a bunch of kind of flotsam jetsam of what's happening, and then we can go over a little bit more by the counties. Here are some big takeaways, though. Just to give you an idea, for the state of Florida, which we hardly ever do, we hit an all-time high for the median home price for this end of the second quarter was $432,000. Now that's statewide, including all the rural cities in the middle of the state and everything.
That's pretty high.
But it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I remember when we started this show, we were well under 200,000 when we started the show in 2012. Now we're at 432 for the state. That's a 4.9% increase year over year. The other thing that's happening in this state is our inventory is really reducing. Remember how?
So in average equity is about 3 to 5% a year.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right
equity in the state was about 4% year to. Well, I mean, I don't know if we can call it equity, but value of homes, the cost to buy a home went up. Essentially, what we'd expect
4.9, right?
equity to go
Yeah,
up.
and not crazy, not like crazy hyper increases in prices. Kind of normal, what you expect in Florida,
Healthy
3
market.
to 5%. I'm
Pace
going to
of
call
inflation.
this that part is very healthy. The other thing that's healthy is our inventory. We've been as low. I'll never forget when I think it was Port St. Lucie. So maybe I did forget. You can't say I never forget and then
Never
not know what I'm
forget.
talking about. I'll never
Wait.
forget. I think it was. But I'm pretty sure it was Port St. Lucie. But there was a time where our inventory at one of the counties for one of the months was 0.9 months, right? 3 weeks.
That's
right?
less
Like
than one.
1 month, less than 1 month, right?
Interesting.
So that's like 3.5 weeks, right?
Which means
24 days.
Which means if no other property came on the market, it would take that long to sell those homes.
24 days to sell everything that was on the
Right,
market if no new ones came on based on the sales. That's crazy town. Normal market, balanced market, meaning not in favor of the seller or the buyer, is 6 months. That's the tipping point. So anything below 6 months, that leans towards the seller.
0.9 is a massive seller market.
Massive seller
Yeah.
market. And then anything over 6 months, it becomes a buyer's market. However, because real estate is different, every cycle is different. One of the things that Mike noticed a few months ago, maybe even longer than a few months ago, he goes, this is when we were at like 5.6 months on the market. 5.6 months on the market was like right at the balance level, but it was still leaning towards the seller. But Mike goes, it feels like a buyer's market right now. And I totally agreed with him, even though we weren't at the 6 months. What was
You get
happening at that
concessions
point?
and stuff.
Well, what was happening is people were putting this is maybe a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, they put the house on the market, but you knew there was a good chance they weren't going to sell it because the seller would say, I don't have to sell my house. And they're putting it on the market, but they're actually like being very defensive of putting it on the market. If I don't get the number I want, I don't have to sell. And there's nothing wrong. Nobody's forcing you to sell. You want to put your house on the market for whatever price, go ahead.
Sure.
But they would already have an attitude as they were putting it on the market that I don't have to sell it. What does that tell you psychologically? They know they're overpriced.
Yep.
Right? So it's also the flip side of it is the same thing as saying, well, if I can get this crazy number for my house, of course I'm going to sell it. And we did do that. We did do that during the COVID market.
I thought about it as soon as you said it. I'm like, I used to make phone calls. What's your golden number? What's your magic number? If I could get you X for your house to sell it, would you sell tomorrow? What's that number? And a lot of people are like, I don't know. It's like, well, what is your number?
Because you also kind of have to think about what comes after you sell your home.
Because you got to buy something where you're going to move
renting?
afterwards.
Am I buying?
So there was a lot of people back then that were putting houses on the market, even though we were under 6 months of inventory, slightly under 6 months. You think it's a seller's market, but a lot of those sellers weren't willing to sell if they didn't get exactly what they wanted. So they weren't really on the market. They weren't in the market. They were on the market.
They had their toe in the market.
Yeah, it's like
in the market or on the market.
In the market means like you're actually trying to sell the house. You want to get the house sold and moved. On the market is like you're throwing it up there and see if the spaghetti sticks.
What's the real mentality there? Like how much over? Like, are we talking about? Is my number like $20,000 higher than what I could actually get, or is it like $100,000 higher, and that's the only way I'll sell?
Well, it depends on the type of house in the neighborhood and the person's idea. But here's where you know that you've got if the seller's being unrealistic. They see that in their neighborhood there might be 4 different sizes of houses, and they heard that the house down the street on their same block just sold for $500,000. So they want $500,000 for their house.
So that's the 5-bedroom, and you're the 3-bedroom.
Right, and you're the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no pool. The other one is 5-bedroom, 3.5-bath with a pool on the lake. They have the new roof. You've got the 16-year-old roof, right? And they want the same price as the other one because what is their argument? I have a new kitchen. And they don't have a new kitchen. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
But
then you have to open up your house. I mean, it's like a reverse looky-loo. It's like, hey, come look. But I'm not really interested in selling.
Well, sometimes if I have a super unrealistic seller, sometimes what I'll do is the day of the listing, if I know they're going to be unrealistic, I will make appointments to show 2 or 3 properties in that neighborhood. And then say, let's go look at your competition right now and let's see how they look and let's see what their price is on. And then we go through the property. It's like, oh, wow, this has a new kitchen. This has new bathrooms. Oh, the roof is only 4 years old. How old is your roof again? Right?
Right.
And then I look and I go, wow, this house has been on the market 76 days, right? And you want what for your house? And you think it's going to sell in X amount of time. And if they're not realistic about that, that's okay. Nobody's forcing you to sell a house. It isn't like we're trying to convince you to sell a house for a price you don't want to sell it for.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
Nope.
But I can tell you realistically, do you have a shot at selling your house or not selling your house?
Right.
Right.
So you're saying now in this market, you're not seeing as much of that.
Well, what we're seeing is that in this market, we're still, Mike, as you know, with all the buyers that we work with, a lot of them are getting money from the seller. They're getting seller concessions. We have Carlos closing on Monday, and Carlos is buying a home where he used to swim in when he was a little kid, the pool in the backyard of this house. He used to go swimming when he was a little tiny kid. Now he's buying the house.
That's kind of cool.
It's going to be his pool. It's not going to be awesome. And Carlos got $15,000 to help pay for a new roof on the house.
How cool is it to move into a house where you're like, I've already peed in that pool.
I know, right? I know, right?
Already peed in it.
Exactly.
That might very well be the definition of success.
Talk about marking your territory. He did it like 20 years earlier, right? Marking
just because he was a kid, I just assumed.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of people that are getting seller concessions right now from the sellers. It's very common. Sellers that are motivated and want to sell, they'll work with a buyer that asks for seller concessions. I think you got seller concessions in Orlando, correct? Or did you negotiate out of that?
We negotiated out of that and just got a lower price. But yeah.
So,
but if you're using concessions as a negotiating tool and you negotiate out of it, you still got some concession, right?
Yeah.
You just didn't get it in the form of concession.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You still got it.
We got it just we just got the lower price point on the house.
And
overall.
I think the operative word there is negotiation. Like you're actually able to negotiate, have a real negotiation Whereas when it's a very strong seller's market, like you give them anything other than exactly what they want, and they're not going to take it. So there's no negotiation.
The next strong seller's market we have, whenever it comes, that is going to be a bloodbath for the realtors. It's going to be a total bloodbath because all the buyer's agents, anybody representing a buyer.
Are they going to shift commissions?
Oh yeah, because if I'm the listing agent, because you got to do what's right for your customer, right? So if you're the listing agent and we went through another COVID spike like we did that crazy 18 months after COVID, that was what 22 and 21 and 22, between that like January 2021 through June of 2022, that 18 months of craziness. There would be no reason for any seller to realistically give a buyer's agent a commission. And that's very controversial, and agents don't want to talk about this, but this is the vagaries of the market. This is what happens when you have a market shift. So if you have 21 offers, and that's what we were getting on some of our houses, Johnny was there for that part.
Mm-hmm.
When you have 21 offers, and people are saying, I don't need to do an inspection. I'll give you more than full asking price. I don't need an appraisal, right? And they're offering that. How hard is it going to be for the sellers to add one more criteria? And I don't want to pay for your buyer's side commission.
Mm-hmm.
Either don't bring an agent in or you guys pay the commission. I don't want to pay it. Now, that's going to be huge savings for that seller.
Sure.
But the buyers are going to go into shock because a lot of buyers' agents don't have the guts to talk to their buyers about the buyer's agreements that
About that
everybody's regularly
possibility.
decide that there's a possibility if the seller doesn't pay,
You're going to be paying
I need you to pay me.
Right.
And I have that conversation. Chris has that conversation with our buyers.
early.
And it
The
will
day we're
still,
signing, the day we're deciding if we're working with each
it
other.
Right.
should still be a relatively straightforward conversation on your side as the buyer's agent, because you say, hey, listen, if that's the scenario and you guys don't have the money, then we're not going to make an offer on that house.
Yeah,
right? Or
which
we're
is
just going to have to walk away from that house, which as a seller, I mean, you get 21 offers, you're going to get what you want. But I would think under any condition, you don't want to cut your buyer pool in half by demanding that they have more money than.
during that
they would
COVID,
need.
you would, Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
During that, and that was a very unique thing, and it only happened for a short period of time. But we're going to go through that at some point, and the buyers, the agents that aren't on top of their game, it's going to be a
They're gonna
bloodbath.
get wrecked.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. But that's part of the thing. Is at least if that happens, it's a reflection of what's happening in the market. It isn't like a set rule that things have to be done. The market changes, and then the way people negotiate on houses changes during that market.
Sure.
So a couple other things. Let me just go over some other things I thought were interesting over the last 6 months. The condo market. Remember how I said when we were going through everything after, I always get the names wrong. I don't remember if it's Surfside or Sunnyside or whatever, but the community where the building collapsed.
Surfside.
Surfside, I always get that wrong. So
DSCR.
ever since they did that and they had all the mandatory structural testing and the money for reserves to pay for future costs and everything, I said eventually, once the condos are going through a crash because of that, all the older ones, but that eventually that once they fix everything, those condos will actually have more value because they've gone through the gauntlet of catching up to what the state standards are. And based on those state standards, they should qualify for lower down payment financing, right, Mike?
Yeah, if they're compliant with what the state requires, yeah.
So that offers up more opportunity for lower down payment condos. So have we started seeing that yet? And the answer is a little bit.
Starting.
So here's what we're seeing is that now this is statewide, but under 200,000, that was a dead market for condos because under 200,000, that meant the buildings were probably 1960s, 1970 buildings that have had very tired buildings, right? But the under 200,000 market, sales jumped 18.4% statewide. So that's showing you that buyers looking for affordable entry into the market, these condos are starting to pick up. So there's a really good opportunity there.
Do they actually give like total units sold in that percentage?
I don't have it here, but I have it in another report, and when we get there, I'll bring it up again.
Did it go
Good
from
question.
like nothing to?
I think it went from hundreds to like 1,000. like 300 to 1,000,
Yeah,
something
that's
like that.
interesting.
Okay, now the other big spike in the market, so the under 200,000 condo market, very hot. The other condo market that's very hot, the $1 million and up luxury condo market, that spiked 29.5%, right? So that's a big jump. Now, what market is kind of It's the $400,000 to $700,000 condos.
The middle.
And again, those are probably going to be east of the intercoastal or hugging the intercoastal east, and they're going to be older buildings because they're 400 to 700,000, and you're on the water, so the buildings have to be older. And those ones, the assessments are really, really high. I lived in a condo like that in Jupiter for a couple of years, and they had a $90,000 assessment after a $15,000 assessment from 2 years earlier. They're paying $1,000 a month for the taxes, another $1,000 a month for the HO condo fee, right? So it's really expensive to live there. And you're getting popped with all these extra costs that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So those units are the ones that are really slow to sell. But once they fix everything and everything's up to code and up to snuff, that market's people are going to start waking up and say, hey, this condo market's a pretty good place to be for a little while.
It's already starting. It is starting. Yeah. What's happening is they have a term called vintage condos, and that's anything over 30 years old. So there's actually the market is migrating towards people are starting to, there's a lot more activity that's happening on those vintage condos. And the reasons for it are, what part of it is many of them have gone through all the concrete restoration work and all of that. But the square footage of those condos is much larger than the square footage of a newer modern condo. A lot of the newer modern condos, what they did is they built smaller footprint to squeeze more units in to get more money to recover construction costs. And so now people are going back, hey, I want a bigger place. So I have a client that's under contract on a 70s era condo, and it's almost 1,500 square feet, 100 steps from the ocean. So, and the values are there.
And somebody else already went through the pain of the fixing the, where the deferred maintenance issues have been
the seller
rectified.
Paid. Yep.
The
voted on, dealt with the community,
Yeah.
because everybody
People
goes through
contributed.
histrionics, right? It's like everybody goes, I can't believe I got to
and
do
even
this.
if there's some like special assessment left or something, that's also negotiable in your contract. Like who's
Yeah.
going to take care of that's
Right.
outstanding special assessment and
It's not without risk, but there's a majority of the risk has been addressed, right?
Yeah.
And some of the people that are in these condos, they've owned them for 20 years, and they're just like, I'm done with it.
it's interesting. Are the floor pans vintage as well, as far as like, is there a stylistic difference as far as how they're laid out?
I don't think so.
They're just
I
bigger.
mean, you got to get into the 50s and the 60s where they really have weird layouts.
Yeah.
But anything in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they're just larger square footage, so you can get it at a lower price point per square footage than a condo in the 2000s and 2010s.
I'm just thinking vintage is 30 years ago, so that's 1996.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you're coming from Boston to New York, you laugh. It's like what we call is historic down here. It's like 1955. It's historic, man. It's historic. Hey, couple other things that are happening. Here's another sign about the real estate market. Why it's really a good time to buy right now. The builder concessions. This is a market that I haven't ever seen before. That's what I love about real estate. It's always different. One of the markets that I've never seen before is where the new construction in many communities is cheaper than the resale properties and the used homes. It's like, how does that work? I've never really seen that, but it's happening all the time.
Is that reality?
Oh, yeah, all the
Really?
time. Remember Hugo? Hugo, one of the guys?
Yeah.
He had a house that was newer construction, like only 3 years old, 4 years old. 4-year-old, brand new, 4-year-old new construction community. It was being undercut by the newer developers that were coming in right around the corner from him. And it was very hard to sell that house because
Just a
they
lot of
could buy a
inventory.
brand new one
Yep.
and pick their colors,
Same price or
and
even
they were
less?
getting the discounts. What was really killing the resale is when the developer comes in and says, hey, we're going to give you 3.9% financing, and we're going to pay your closing costs, right? And we're going to give you these upgrades on the house, which is happening with developers right now. They're even sometimes offering the real estate agents, the buyer's agents, hey, come with your buyer, we'll give you 5%.
Wow.
Right? That's happening a lot.
That's
Because these
desperate, huh?
developers, yeah, and the
hold the bag.
developers are out there. And the thing is, they're undercutting the resale, which makes it really hard to sell. If you live in an area that's close to these new construction communities, it's like, why am I going to buy your 15-year-old home and pay $15,000 more than the developer? And I'm going to get all these perks from the developer that you can't give me. You can't give me, Mr. Seller, a 3.9% interest rate, right? I'm just making up the interest rate.
Yeah.
But they can't do that. So that's another sign that it's a really good time to be buying right now. Now, Chris, you were talking about, you were doing some research and found out that a lot of the builders are kind of switching gears of the type of things they're building.
Well, so there was an article that came out this week, and it's talking about Florida buyers or the housing starts are jumping. They said housing starts jumped 19% in the last month, but when you dig into the details, the single family home housing starts actually declined. So where all of the jump in the permitting and everything that's happening, it's multifamily and larger properties. So 5 units or higher, there's an increase in permits and starts occurring in that space.
These are just attached, like townhome villa style.
Or condo buildings, apartment complexes.
Okay.
And so part of this, the theory behind a lot of this is that this is in reaction to the housing bill at the federal level, which is really incentivizing more developers and bringing the costs of living down. How are you going to do that most effectively? You're going to build multifamily homes so that people can, get in at a lower price point. So it's just 1 month of data, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's as an answer to an affordability crisis, like having homes that are cheaper to acquire makes sense, right? So that means you're going to townhomes, the attached homes, the condos and buildings, like those are always going to be at generally a lower price point than the single family home. So,
Yep.
interesting trend.
It is.
Yep. Now, I want to go into mortgage rates really quick, and then we're going to slide in from the mortgage rates what happened into our local area as far as sales and price points and things like that.
Excellent. 877-927-6969. If you'd like to be a part of the program, don't be shy. Questions, comments, concerns, you want to be involved with the conversation at hand, you're more than welcome. Always remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com. If you're not comfortable on the radio, you can still get access to the entire team one click away. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com or on Facebook and YouTube. Share and like. You can change lives, including your very own, with the pros of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thank you, Mr. C. Mike, I heard on a news blurb that came across my phone or something that the interest rates went up super high. So when I woke up this morning, because I normally check on Thursday, I was so busy this week. So I checked the 30-year Freddie Mac report, and it wasn't that bad. We only went up 0.03 this week, but we're at 6.58, which is on the upper level.
It's higher than 6.5.
Yeah, it is higher.
We've been between like 6.4 and 6.6, right? Or 6.5 something for, what are we going on? Pretty much since March, I guess. But
yeah.
I think the big thing it's 3 weeks in a row where it's ticking up a little bit.
Yeah, it went up 3 weeks, but we only went from 6.43 to 6.58.
Yeah.
So we only went up 0.15.
I'm calling that flat.
Flat.
Yeah, that's like 78 cents a month on your mortgage payment.
Flat.
I'm making it up.
I mean, it's up. What if you're the guy who says it's flat when it's going up? What does that mean? I'm trying to think about that, but it's slightly up, very slightly up, and we kind of been in this zone since March.
Yeah, like we were at, just to give you an idea, we were at 6.74 in July of last year, right? So we're almost, we're about 0.15 lower than we were in July of last year.
And I would
We're
probably call
1.5.
that more flat versus we're down from last year. You know what I mean? It's just there's
exactly.
not enough movement
There's not
for me to
enough to
consider
make
it
it
up
a
or
big
down. Right.
difference in your life, for real. And
I think that we're halfway through the year, and I think this was the year that people, if they had their predicting hats on, like if we were talking end of 2025, like what's going to happen in 2026 with mortgage rates, I think most people would have said, I think they're going to be down. They're going to be down, and they were headed that way. And in March, we got as low as, call it 6%, right? We broke the 6 barrier. We had
did.
a 5 in front of it
For a bit.
for 1 week.
Yep.
And then that reversed course in March. And so it feels like a letdown, I think, if you were like, this is my
Yeah,
year.
people
This
thought-
is my year. I'm going to wait. Or maybe this is my refinance year. I think there's a lot of people who maybe they have a 7 in front of their mortgage rate and they're waiting for low 6s or maybe a 5. And they're like, okay, now it's going to make sense. And then that just seems to, who knows when that's happening at this point.
I totally agree that when we hit that 5.98 and we were making fun of it on the show, we're in the 5s, right?
Yeah.
5.98.
5%.
Right? There were a lot of people, even though we were joking around about it, there were a lot of people, it's like, up here it starts coming. We'll be at 5.0, 4.95, pretty quick from now.
Just got to wait it out.
Yeah, and instead we went the opposite way. Now, there's a couple of things going on with this. It's the inflation. Inflation has been going up, not down, for the last 6 months or so. But the only thing that's been holding steady right now, and I'm just using the reports. Every time I bring this up, I look at Johnny, and I know he's going to have a conniption fit.
Nah,
but I got to use the stats. You got to use
the stats.
them
Are
too.
the stats. That's all we
According
have.
to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we're doing okay with as far as unemployment, and the reason
Maybe even record low unemployment.
yeah, but
right?
the thing is, now I'm agreeing more with Johnny about this part, that part of the reason why I've been going down the last several months is people have completely given up, and they're just out of the system now. So they're
You said
not
there's
considered-
100 million people that don't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found that hard to
yeah.
believe, though. I find that I might be wrong. That would be like one out of every, because there's only 330
That's
million
like
of
one
us,
out
right?
of 3 people. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's
like
like one out of
340
3
million
people. I
people.
just don't-
Yeah.
I read
Hey,
it,
listen,
but-
in the offices I've ever worked in, it's probably a good stat. The only difference is they're getting paid for not working.
Define working.
I've been there for a couple of them.
I wonder how many of those are social media influencers.
There are times that you read and you're just like, I don't know where they come up with this stuff. And when I read this last week, they're like, there's 100 million people that don't work. I'm like, we include like infants?
I know,
We include
exactly.
like
It's
the elderly?
Yeah.
Like
I think
100
there's
million?
only. I think I did this study. Remember, I tried to figure out what a 1% unemployment rate, how many people it was, and if I'm not
Of our
mistaken,
total working population.
yeah, I think I came out that 1% is like, I can't remember. It was somewhere between 800,000 and 1.1 or 1.2 million workers. Like that's 1%, right? So if you have a 1% drop, that's a million people or whatever, right? But I just don't see the numbers that they have 100,000
I don't
completely
buy it.
So many
gave
numbers,
up
you're
and,
just like,
and
what?
quit. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
What?
A couple other things about the interest rate, though. So the week, we're up at the little bit of the higher point of where we've been for, over the last year, but it isn't crazy high. Over the year, we've only increased over the last 15 weeks. This is only 0.16%, but we're actually 1.6% lower than we were over the last year. Okay, so the rate isn't like high at all. The monthly average is 6.51, and the 52 weekly average, I'm sorry, I got it wrong, 0.16 above. Monthly average is 6.51, we're at 6.58. 52 weekly average, 6.32, we're at 6.58. So we're right in a range where it shouldn't be affecting people's lives too much. If you could afford to buy a house at 6.75, you probably could afford to buy a house at 6.58 right now.
Probably.
So that's what's going on with the mortgage rates. So what that makes it easier for buyers, and people don't understand this until they're in the market. It's so nice when we have these stable rates, Mike, because worrying about is the interest rate going up and down moment by moment, it isn't much of a factor. We've gone through that several times on the show.
Yeah, and,
with our customers.
The reality of my experience bears out what we talk about all the time, which is the rate is not the most critical factor in your decision making for whether to buy a house, right? So I'm just talking from the buyer's perspective. The most important factor is like your life, right? And like, does it make sense from a job and income perspective, and from a family, maybe a neighborhood analysis, school zones? Like, is this making sense for you to transition into this next step? You've been renting, whatever it is. And so the interest rate is an important component because it affects your payment at the end of the day. And the difference between 3% and 6% interest rate is huge on the monthly payment, but the difference between 6.5 and 6.25 or 6.75 is not that huge. And you can kind of offset those numbers by negotiation on price, and maybe so you're getting a little bit better price point in this market because inventory is higher, and you can negotiate. And so it's just not as critical. Certainly not one of probably the top, 3 or 4 factors that you should be considering. Like, it's pretty low on the list of importance. And so it's nice to have a flat market because then you don't have to fret about it. You're not worried about it. When the market is shifting week over week with dramatic things, you got to really stay on top of what's that number's going to be, especially if you're pushing your upper limit on like qualifying. But yeah, it's just
we went through 2 of those cycles for sure in 2018 and 2023,
where you were seeing
almost
changes.
a whole point increase over like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It was the fastest increases we've ever seen.
The closest one, as you can see, is what happened in March, right? So what happened in March, Iran, the Iran war, the Iran conflict, whatever you want to call it, we went from 6 to 6.5 over a matter of a month, right? And so if you were a buyer in that market and you're out there pre-approved shopping at 6%, and all of a sudden it's 6.25, 6, it's up to 6.5, and that's like a month is a very realistic time frame for somebody to find a home, right?
Yeah.
They could be actively shopping, looking at homes every single weekend or once a week, whatever it is, in that window of time. And if nothing else changes, because that's not enough time for prices to come down or whatever, right? You have been priced out of a certain market because of that rapid increase in the interest rate.
What's the figure? I can't believe I don't remember this figure anymore.
10% for 1%. So you lost about 5%. You lost about 5% of your purchasing power. And it's kind of a weird thing to say, but let's just say that the home, the same price, same home, same price,
Same mortgage
your payment went up 5%,
right?
which isn't that a big number, but it would.
It is in a way. If you're at 500, that's 475 now, right? So
yeah,
if you're
I'm
at
thinking more like on the payment side of things,
right?
So, but whatever, what's 5% of 3,000? That's somebody $300,
$150,
$150,
Yep.
right? So that can make a difference.
Yeah, that can make
to
a
whether
big
you
difference.
qualify.
Like you say, if you're
Right.
pressed right up to the limits of your qualifying, that does make a difference.
So,
yeah.
but we're not experiencing that now, and that's a really nice thing is that we're not going through that now. It's really biting your nails when you're working with a buyer that's tight when we're in that kind of thing, and we're talking to Mike constantly and trying to get them into a deal right away because
It really highlights the value of your app too. So if you're really pressed in your margins, like when you get going on your app, it's a little slider that you use. Can I afford this house and with this down payment? Like your app gives you a lot. It fills in so many blanks for you.
Within the app, I have the ability to go through and kind of like make adjustments because I don't like the rate that's in there is basically what I think is a reasonable estimate for where you're going to land based on your information, right? But it's not your rate for that day if we were to lock it right at this moment. Right. So it's still an estimate. And I have the ability to go in and kind of in bulk adjust things. So I hate it. I hate it when I have to go in there and say, like, okay, everyone's going up, an eighth of the point this week because of what happened with the market last week. Right. Or when I'm doing that every single week for 4 weeks in a row, that's not a good feeling.
I didn't know you actually did that. That's something I just learned that you did. I
love
always
not having
wondered
to do
about.
it, right?
I know.
I really haven't had.
I love when you don't have to do it either.
I mean, I'm going to
Unless
say
it's going down.
Since April, I really haven't had to make adjustments like that. So April, May, June. I mean, we're going 4 months where I really haven't had to make like adjustments on people's rates because we've been in a flattish market. Now, when you go to, I always tell people like your interest rate, you're subject to market movement until you can lock in, and you usually aren't locking in your rate until you have a close date. Now they have these weird like extended locks, and maybe I'm going to protect against the market, but the reality is until you have a close date, you really don't know how long of a lock window you need, and the longer a lock window, the more protection a lender needs to protect against market movement. Right. So essentially you're going to be locking in on a 120-day lock. You're going to be paying more for the same rate than somebody who's locking that same rate on a 30-day lock. right? Because you have to have that buffer, right? Like I don't know what you would call it in the gambling world,
a
but
hedge.
a hedge. Yeah, there you go.
A hedge,
As a matter of fact, they call it a hedge, right? in the market world, maybe the gambling world took it from the markets, right? So it's a hedge. Yeah. So yeah, I get back to the original point. It's just not. It's important. You want the lowest rate possible for your scenario. You mentioned the builders earlier. One of the things that builders are doing are really offering low interest rates compared to market, and it's not because like they just throw money at it, right? So they have profit or money that they're redirecting towards getting the home sold, and they're doing that by offering some of these incentives. So it's like, hey, we're going to buy down your rate. Essentially, we're going to pay the money in points to get your rate very low, and oftentimes I can't compete with that. Right, because I just don't have that kind of money to throw at a deal, right? They're like robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we don't have the Paul part of it. We only got the Peter side. Right? Are you more of a Peter guy, Jimmy? Yeah, sorry.
You haven't listened long enough.
I want to, because the last part of the show, I really want to get into the investment stuff because I think it's interesting and important. But let me just give you a couple of snapshot stats of what's happened over the last 6 months for the 5 counties. I don't have Indian River in here, unfortunately, because I just didn't have time to put it in. I should have put it in. So sorry, Indian River people. But your stats are going to be similar to what we're seeing in St. Lucie County. So it'll kind of be kind of like that. The biggest news to me is over the 5 counties is the amount of sales that happened in June specifically just shot up like crazy. We're back to like a normal real estate market as far as the amount of sales happening. For example, Palm Beach County, 1,482 homes, single-family homes sold in Palm Beach County in June. That is almost 25% increase compared to a year ago. But this is now back to a normal market. What normal market is to us is normally 1,400 to 1,600 single-family homes in Palm Beach County sold a month. Our height, like during the crazy COVID period, we were like 1,800 to almost 2,000. That was like the crazy time.
So is our normal number coming from before that?
Our normal number would be, I don't really count that one.
2020.
Yeah. So
right, I guess that'd be 18 and 19.
18, 19.
20 was the first COVID
and then
year.
21 was crazy. So 18, 19 were like the most normal, and I'm putting that in quotes, normal years. And 18 wasn't that great because we got up to 7.79 in interest rates. People were paying 8.25.
So we've been in a funky market for 8 years now?
Yeah, we've been kind of all over the place for 8 years. We've been very disjointed market, but what we're seeing now is a strong sales. We had as little as 900 sales like 6 months ago in Palm Beach County. For single family home, and now we're back up to the normal market.
That was
the other thing,
January.
I'm sorry,
January is where it was
it's
at
like 900 something, 987 or something like that. And then cash sales, cash is back again. Cash sales were going lower and lower for a long period of time. All of a sudden, boom, lots of cash. Palm Beach County, of those single family homes, 43% of them were bought cash, right? Miami-Dade County.
You sure it's
27.
not 4.3?
Whoa.
Yeah, 43% of the 1,482 bought cash. Miami-Dade County, 27.6 of the 1,049 homes that sold. A quarter of the 1,049 single-family homes sold were bought cash.
So wait a second. When I'm having conversations with real estate agents, and they've told me I'm like, let's talk to your buyers. Like, how can we do some work together? And they say, I usually work with cash buyers. I always thought that was code for I don't do that many deals. Mm-hmm. But you're telling me that half of the purchases in Palm Beach County
in June
are cash deals?
Yeah.
It's almost Martin County. Now Martin County is always like the different kid in the family, right? Because there's so few homes. They only sold 197 homes for the whole month. Yep. Now that's an 11% increase, so that's even a strong month for them. But they had 39.1% cash, which is the second highest cash. Everybody else was about 25%, except for Palm Beach. Now the other thing that's interesting about this in Palm Beach is where the money's going. So of the 1,482 homes that sold in Palm Beach County, 455 of them, so a third, were $1 million or more.
Oh,
Right? That's a 55% year-over-year increase compared to before, and 25 of them were 10 million or more that closed. 25
25%.
25
Oh, 25
transactions
of the
of the 1482,
yeah.
which is an increase of 108% compared to a year ago. So why are we seeing so many cash closings? Is because they're buying the luxury units. So the cash is going to two places. It's going to investment, low price units, like the cheapest you could find on the market. That's being bought cash. And then the super wealthy, because $1 million in Palm Beach County isn't that luxury.
right.
But when you get up to like 5 million or more, now you're into like real luxury
It's
market.
so crazy to say.
So
but yes.
I know it is. It's crazy like that. But I just saw Paul Krasker just closed a deal. He was in the South Florida Business Journal for $39.5 million. One of the deals in Manalapan.
Nice.
Paul was involved in that deal. He made the newspaper on it. That's Paul Krasker from Krasker Law.
That's why we haven't seen him around much.
Yeah, I guess
he's like jet setting
he's
around?
dealing with his. I saw that he was in Ireland golfing just recently. So maybe that's
Oh.
what he did after that deal.
Well, he's going home, right?
Yeah,
He's Irish descent.
I don't
Is that
think
right?
so.
Oh no,
No, I
thought he
don't think
was.
so.
maybe not.
No, I don't
Doesn't
think
make
so.
sense.
So anyway, what we're seeing is a lot of cash deals in South Florida right now. They're buying investment properties and they're buying homes that they want to live in, right? The wealthy people. That's what's happening. Middle market, kind of flat. Middle market's kind of, that 500 to 800,000 market. It's really, you got to price it right and be in the market in order to get those deals done. Was really surprised that we're seeing how many people woke up in the last month or so. It's like now we're back to a normal market again. Whether that'll hold in July, I don't know. We'll see what happens in July, and we'll see how it's going. The other thing that's happening is St. Lucie County is always been the county that had the biggest growth, right? They had the biggest year-over-year appreciation and things like that, but not so much anymore. They are now at $399 for the median home value in St. Lucie County, which is pretty high for them. When we started out, they were, I think, under 90,000 in 2012 when we started.
Huh.
But it's a 2.3% compared to last year, the 3.99 median home value. And their increase in the amount of closed sales is only grew by 8%, where we've looked at 25 to 40% for the other counties. So we're not seeing that much difference. 25% though are cash in St. Lucie County right now. So I just thought all that was kind of interesting. So let me tell you, now Chris, we want to get into investment, but let's just round out this real quick. I've been saying in the newsletter, the weekly newsletter we put out and other things, why this is really a great time to be a buyer. I just bought something myself. Why did I buy? It was the right unit. It was what I was looking for, right price. But also I felt like, are the interest rates going to go up and down? And I'm betting that they're going to go up. That's what I think is going to happen. So I felt now is a better time than later. And if I'm wrong and the interest rates start dropping, that's not really going to affect me because I know that the house I bought would have been more if the interest rates were lower.
Right.
So I got it at a better price than I would have if the interest rates were lower. And if the interest rates get low enough, I'll just refi, right, and take advantage of that low interest rate, but I also bought it at a lower price than other people would be buying. So that's one of the reasons why I personally bought now. I'm not saying for everybody.
And you also got a payment that you're comfortable with, and
Yeah.
you're not going to be, your income is steady. Like all of these.
Yeah, all
factors.
these things, it just made sense. Now, the other thing, though, is that we have the Hometown Heroes program out right now, which
Yep.
is one of my favorite down payment assistance programs. I wish it was for everybody again, but it's only for select workers, professions. But it's a pretty big pool of people there. There's still plenty of people can take advantage of that program. Then you got the Florida Bond Program, the Lee County program, which is reciprocal with Palm Beach County. So there's a lot of programs. Sellers, because we're not in a super strong seller market yet, you can find sellers that are willing to work with you and give you more money on top of the down payment assistance they'll give you more money to make it even easier to get into the house. And then, Chris, you just saw a report where they talked about why they think our area, our specific area, are one of the best places to be a buyer right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a report that I saw, and it was talking about the top. It's U.S. focused, but it says the top 10 U.S. buyer markets. And so what they're looking at is the percentage of sellers versus buyers. So if you have more sellers than buyers, you know that creates a good opportunity. So guess what city is number one on that list?
More sellers than buyers.
Yep.
Is it nationwide or just Florida?
Nationwide. What city is number one? I'll give you a hint. It's in Florida.
Yeah, I'll say Miami.
You're correct. Miami, Florida.
Wait, you didn't give him a chance.
You have to give all of them. You gotta
I'll give you a chance on the next
Yeah,
one.
okay.
But so in Miami, Florida, it is 139.7% more sellers than there are buyers in the market right now.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. So, all right, there's two other Florida cities.
Well, let's
in
just
there.
see what
I'll
that
let you
means.
see
So what that
yeah.
would mean is that because there's more sellers than buyers, the buyers have more choices, so they have more room to negotiate.
Correct.
The sellers have to be more malleable with buyers that are coming to them.
Yeah.
And work on it.
So this is where you're seeing the sellers' willingness to give concessions. The interesting thing is they're negotiating on price some, but we're still seeing like the list to close pricing is still pretty tight. Like it's only a few percent difference on across the area. But I think where the deals are really moving is where the seller concessions are happening at the closing costs. So that keeps the price a little higher, but they're still giving back to the buyer. So buyers have an advantage right now because there's a little more inventory out there and there's more competition in the seller.
Do you know if the Miami is the metropolitan statistical area, the MSA, which is Miami, Broward, and Palm, or is it just Miami?
It's just Miami
Just
because
Miami.
there's another city
Oh,
in
okay,
in the
good.
Tri-County
I knew
area
that,
that's
I
in this
just
list.
Oh.
So
So there's other Florida cities that are in the list.
I'm not gonna guess. I'm too good at this.
So-
You guys, I'll give you guys a chance. Go ahead.
Johnny first.
Johnny, which one do you think it is?
See, I'm going to leave that other one down there. I'm going to pick another one. I'm leaning over to the West Coast somewhere. So,
No, he said the Tri-Cities.
but there's two more cities in Florida. One of them's Tri-City. One of them's Miami. So there's one more city in Florida. I'm going to try to pick that one out. And I'm going West Coast. It's either Tampa or I'm going to go Fort Myers.
What do you say, Jimothy?
Tampa. Actually,
Tampa.
that's
I
what
already
Tampa
know
was
the
my
answer,
other guess.
so I'm
Same
not
thing
going
as
to do it. What do you
Johnny.
say,
Yeah.
Mike?
West
I know the
Coast.
Well, geez, I was thinking it's either Fort Lauderdale or Palm Beach. So I'll say Fort Lauderdale, number 2.
So you're all wrong.
Oh.
Number 10 on the list is West Palm Beach. And we've got
For buyers
86.3% more sellers than buyers. 86% more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So if there was one seller and there was one buyer, you would have to have 1.86.
And we still pushed
Sellers.
almost 1,500 units in June.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're starving for buyers, and we were still like right in our
We're
zone of
we're
where we
getting-
want to
Yeah.
be for the
Well,
month
you,
of
you
June.
could also look at that and be like, well, I guess nobody wants to live there, but we happen to live here, and so we know it's a nice place to live. So
Oh, everybody
it
wants to
can't
live
be
here.
that.
Yeah.
and there's another city, right?
there's the last one on here, Florida City.
Is
Is
that Fort Myers?
number 6 on the list. It's you'll know it.
Orlando.
See, it wasn't Fort Myers or Tampa, huh? Yeah. Man.
Timothy?
Keys.
Yeah.
The only
Keys.
thing I can think of is up by Orlando.
Yeah, it is Orlando. It's
Oh, yeah.
98.3%.
There's so much building going on there. It's crazy.
It actually is very slow up there. I have the developers are offering huge discounts.
The developers are slow.
Yeah.
But some of the agents that I've been talking to up there recently are having decent.
One of my really good friends, he's been trying to. I helped him buy a house like 2 years ago, out there, in the Orlando area, and that was a temporary home, and then they were going to retire up farther up north in the state near Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and build their dream home up there for the retirement. And life changed, so they had to leave they thought they were going to keep the place for at least 5 years, 5 to 7 years. Now they have to do everything fast. They're competing with the developers out there. His house has been on the market over 200 days. He's had like 4 showings. And he can't compete with the developers. They're just offering too good of a deals. So he's thinking about letting his agent go that I helped him get. And she was always great, but it's just what's happening in the market. So I said to him, I wouldn't let her go.
You can move your mic.
I wouldn't let her go. Sorry about that. I said I wouldn't let her go, and at least until after the developers sold everything. How many units do you have left in that community? He said 2. And I said, well, I would at least give her a shot after your unit is completely bought out.
Yeah.
Because then I think it'll open up a little bit. Because if people need to be in that area, that'll be one for them.
What do you think of the stat that the Chris's
About
article
how
is
many
using,
buyers
just like
compared to
sellers
sellers?
versus buyers versus what we were traditionally looking at, like days on market?
Well, the
and-
absorption rate, right?
Okay.
We look at what's called the absorption rate, which is what Johnny touched on, which is also months of inventory, which is how long would it take to gobble up everything that's active based on the current buying situation. So right now in South Florida, Mike, for all these counties, let me just give it to you. Palm Beach, 3.9 months, which is down 31% compared to last year. Miami-Dade, 4.9 months, which is the highest one out of the group, 25% lower than last year. Broward County, 4.3 months, 28% lower than last year. Martin County, 3.9 months, 33% lower than last year. And St. Lucie County, 4.9 months, 15% lower than last year. Martin County is the one that's struggling the most out of all of them right now. They're just not hitting the figures that St. Lucie County just does all the time.
I'm also curious, how do they measure buyers in that stat? Easy to measure sellers. How do you measure buyers?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to go back and
They probably
dig into
do.
it
I'm
deeper.
just guessing that they do the pending and the active under contract, and then how many. So the pending, active under contract, how many closed that month? Because that's 3 groups of buyers, right?
Yep.
Ones that went under contract, one that they closed, and then maybe besides that,
How many new listings?
I
came
was
on?
wondering how many, if they have any idea that, I don't know if they can track this, but buyer's agreements signed, not contract signed, but buyer's agreement signed. Maybe they look at that. I don't know. But
Interesting.
I do think it's more of a buyer's market than a seller's market. I've been saying that for several months.
You said
now.
I said that at some point in the past, and I would say I agree based on the parameters, which is like how easy is it to be a buyer from a negotiating perspective? Are you able to get? I mean, the thing that most people want and need is cash, right? Just money. Just 'cause it takes a lot of money, especially first-time home buyers. It takes a lot of money to buy this home. So we have things like down payment assistance, but we also have the old technique of extracting it from the sellers. And there was a time where you just wasn't possible. Back in the day, it was possible, maybe not every deal. And now it seems like almost every deal you can kind of negotiate some sort of concession from the seller. And it's not like a super adversarial conversation, Jim, right? Like your negotiations aren't quite so cutthroat. And that's an indicator for you guys. Like, yeah, we're getting what we want for these buyers. It's able to get them into the home, and it's not such a battle.
So all these people, I know that there's so much negativity out there when it comes to where we are in the real estate market, and I think a lot of that negativity is what Johnny just brought up a little bit ago, is that we haven't actually been in a, quote, I'm putting this in air quotes, a normal market for any length of time. We just bounce up and down all over the place like a pinball and a pinball machine or whatever. And we're bouncing around all over the place. So it's really kind of hard to look at the big picture sometimes. But right now, this market is not a bad market. It isn't even a horrible market to be a seller. 1,482 homes sold in Palm Beach County. We're back to normal numbers. So even for the sellers, as long as you're willing to work with your buyer and you're realistic about what your house is worth and you're willing to sell it for what it's really worth, this is a good market to sell too.
Mhm.
So, so if you're not sure or anything, give us a call. We'll give you a consultation to see if it's a good time to buy or a good time to sell.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
For sure.
That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. I got a question, if you don't mind, unless you had something you wanted to squeeze
please.
in here. So you've talked over the years about little honey holes, little areas that you see growing that you're like, oh, this is real good potential here. This is a spot you want to get into. When it comes to development, advancement, and how it draws people in, right? And you look for these opportunities. I got 2 spots in Florida that I'm curious if you think are going to get a boom because of the money that's coming in. The first one we've talked about a little bit. So the urban sprawl up through Port St. Lucie County for a lot of people that work in Broward and Palm Beach, like that's happened for years. And it's expanding a little further north because the price points, right? With the big SpaceX expansion, right? With the launch pad and that huge complex, the gigabyte or whatever they call that thing, that massive complex they're building. It should be done, I think, end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of folks coming in to work there. They need places to live. Is it too late, do you think, to catch in on? Because there's got to be a pop in that area for the real estate, just based on the dollars that are coming in there.
That
Is
whole
it probably
area,
too late?
would you call that the Rockledge area? I'm
The
trying to.
Space Coast? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I had ex-in-laws that were worked for the space industry out there, and they lived in the Rockledge area. That's why I'm saying that. And I think that SpaceX took over one of the areas over there. They've gone up and down. That whole area goes up and down depending on what happens with government contracts and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would expect that it would increase. And this is as investors, if you're in the Rockledge area, there's a lot of really inexpensive homes that are very, very close to the beach out there. And they're mostly 1950s ranch homes. They're
And
like
we all know the
150.
closer you get to the water, the more desirable it is when the money comes in.
But
so.
but US 1 isn't that far from the beach out there in
Sure,
that one.
sure.
And you could be like near US 1 and feel like you're almost at the beach.
Again,
And there's
closer
a
you
lot
get,
of
the more desirable it
1950s
is.
homes out there that I'm sure those grow when there's a boom. Those grow the fastest, but I also think they collapse the fastest when
Potential
we're
teardown type stuff in 10, 20 years.
I don't know enough about the market to know about the teardowns. I got to be honest with you.
So another area that's getting a huge investment, and I don't know if you know about it or not, but the port in Jacksonville is getting a massive investment. They're making it deep water so they can bring in all these cargo ships. Like there's the estimate of dollars that are going to just come through there. They have that huge Toyota facility to expedite all the issues they have. There's a ton of money, billions that are being spent at that port in Jacksonville. Does that make that Jacksonville area pop?
Yes, for sure. And aren't they doing the same thing on a smaller level but pretty big level for Fort Pierce?
Oh,
I think
sure,
the
sure,
port-
but way different level. Jacksonville is going like, hello,
It's
this
like
is
Miami.
the port of ports.
It's going to be it's going to be like
They're
the
spending
Miami
like $60
port.
billion or something.
Yeah, but so yes, the short answer
I
is
might
going
be
to
wrong
be
on the
yes
number.
for that. But the Fort Pierce is going to be another big pop, and that's much closer to us.
Yeah,
And I
they're-
really think that's really an up and coming area. I really feel like.
Well, Fort Pierce is also getting sucked into the data center world, unfortunately. That's
Oh, I didn't know about that
yeah,
part.
yeah. They're coming up all
Really
around
far
Fort Pierce.
west, though, right? Like west of the Turnpike.
Well, so unfortunately, there's only so much you can go, and it's west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. You could tear down a lot of stuff in Fort Pierce.
Oh, sure, but you
There's a
ain't,
lot
you
of
ain't getting no
eminent
data center
domain
by the
potential
water.
out there.
That
No, but if you
property's
go
too valuable.
east, it's good for cooling on the data center. Yeah.
True.
Active.
Yeah. But yes, the short answer is all that stuff is going to make those areas bigger impact. And I feel like,
Like long game? Like, is it?
yeah, I think, and I might be wrong about this, but I think that Fort Pierce is going to be way more profitable and more desirable than Port St. Lucie. And I think it's because they have better water access and water potential out there and for boating and stuff like that. And also, I just feel like the
There's
way
none in
that
Port St. Lucie,
downtown.
right? I mean,
I'm sorry?
There's none in Port St. Lucie.
No, there's
Yeah.
nothing. That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm saying.
That's a slam
Yeah.
dunk.
That's the one thing that always bothers me about Palm Beach County. We really don't have like really great public beaches. If you think about it, there aren't like a ton of great, like, we don't really have like, we have like Delray Beach, which is pretty big and a lot of people go to and everything. Boca to some extent, but Boynton, there's not much there. Lake Worth's okay, but it isn't like some of the other beaches. Palm Beach, yeah, but Palm Beach isn't very welcoming, right? Palm Beach is not very welcoming.
The parking's
area.
expensive.
Yeah.
You can get in there. I mean, it depends on the weekend.
Every time I used to go there, I used to wonder, is my car gonna be towed?
I used to love it when the parking, you could park for 4 hours. It was like $2.
They start towing mine as soon as I hit the bridge.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
Like, we're gonna load it up right on the other side over here.
Yeah, they have a speaker thing saying, "Hey, he's coming over now."
Hey, he can't be here.
Johnny's got the bumper stickers all over his car.
They don't allow those cars over here, sir.
Yeah, but the beaches are different in Palm Beach County. They're not as public accessy as like Dania Beach or Fort Lauderdale Beach, where I grew up, things like that. I'm sorry, I just feel that way.
Yeah, big wide beaches that just can handle a ton of people
and everything.
Yeah. The problem is you have to drive down to Fort Lauderdale to do that.
I know, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why you just have to buy a little condo on the beach.
Oh,
yeah, Mike,
or do that.
Chris has got it, man. And that Hollywood Beach. Let's get into investment a little bit here.
Yeah.
You've been going over a lot of stuff, and I have been too. We're calling a lot of investors in our database and trying to find out exactly what they need, because me and Chris believe that we will be going into a stronger investment market. I feel there's going to be a lot of potential for. There's a lot of people that in this K-shaped economy, a lot of older seniors that are going to be needing to sell properties. They're not going to be in great shape. A lot of them going to have deferred maintenance, and they're going to need to sell. And I think there's opportunities there for investors. We're finding a lot of properties that make sense for investors on the MLS. And here's the funny part. Most of the time when you talk to investors, I don't want anything on the MLS. I'm like, if the numbers work, why wouldn't you want the property on the MLS if the numbers work?
Right.
And here's the other funny thing, is that you're probably not going to pay the real estate commission if we're doing an investment deal. Usually when I go to the buyer, hey, I found an off-market property for you, they're not going to pay my real estate commission. If you're interested, I need you to pay my real estate commission, and we'll go forward on the deal and check it out. But when you have it on the MLS, usually they're offering a real estate commission to the buyer's agent, which means you as the investor, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, don't have to pay me usually in order to do that deal. But they're like, no, I don't want it because it's on the MLS. It's like, it's ridiculous.
And do they get what they pay for?
What do you mean? Like if they don't, I don't get what you mean.
They're not paying you anything. So what kind of service can they expect?
Right. Well, that's
it's like the equivalent of being like, I don't want to take that deal. It's FHA, or I don't like it because it's VA.
Yeah,
finance.
VA.
It's like,
yeah,
what
it's like if the numbers
kind
were
of nonsense do you make up in your head?
Thank you, Johnny. PSA.
There's some. So I've seen a number of the off-market deals that they're not on the MLS, and just it's a standard home, and they're offering it at somewhere in the mid threes ish. And then they're like, oh, the ARV is $450. I'm like, so I'm going to buy this, spend all the closing costs. I'm going to put $25,000 into it. And for what, $20,000 of potential profit? Like, that doesn't make sense. So what I've been doing, and part of this is just kind of like my little hobby anyway, because when I've bought all my properties, I'm one of those buyers that looks for the dirty. Like, I don't care what the condition of it is. I want the right house in the right neighborhood that has the right, opportunity. So that's how I've always bought my personal properties. I've never bought a turnkey property. Always been fixers. And so I've found a handful of different deals just in the last couple of weeks. And I joke with Jim because I find it, I go look at it, I'm typing up the brief to send to our investors, and it goes under contract. I'm like, I just missed it, right? And so some of these examples, I found a home in Fort Lauderdale on the canal, $725,000, ocean access. It was a 3-2 small house, but a big pool in the backyard. It went under contract in 3 days, and it was on the MLS.
And you thought that house, they were asking $7,000, you thought it was worth what, fixed up?
Fixed up, I think it would have been about 1.1 to 1.2 million. And the house would have needed about 150 to 200 grand into it. So that one, the numbers weren't as compelling.
You're still making
but
probably $90,000 when the smoke clears.
Yeah,
you sold it
exactly.
For 1.1.
And then I found another one in the Hollywood Hills area, and it was so this one was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, I believe, again with a pool, big lot, and they were asking $500,000 on that one, and that one was actually a better renovation, a lighter renovation, because it was in really good shape. It was just dirty and dated, and they had already torn out the kitchens and the bathrooms pretty much, and it had a new roof on it. So if the right person could have invested $50,000, maybe $100,000 into it, and homes in that area are in the 900 to 1.2 million, depending on the size as well. And that was a $500,000 list price home.
Right, so that's probably like a 150 to 225 profit.
I think
depending.
about 200 grand.
And that's after all the smoke clears. So that's your upfront cost of buying it, the purchase price, the construction, the carry costs of running the deal and the job while you're carrying it, and then the closing costs and real estate commissions and all that on the back end of selling it. When we and Chris analyze deals, we go through all of that before you even pick up the phone, because if all those numbers don't work, it's a waste of time. Chris was talking about ARV. That's called after repaired value, which is how investors decide what they're willing to pay for a house. Is based on what they could sell it for in the back end. And, a lot of the investors that work with us really appreciate how we know those numbers as well as they do. That way, I'm not calling them up wasting their time like the deal that Chris just mentioned earlier. Hey, we could, you could buy it for 400, put 50 into it, you could sell for 500,000. It's like, I'm going to do all that work, and I'm probably going to make like $7,500 to $10,000 and risk all my money and time. It's like, that's not a good bet. Don't buy that property.
Yeah.
But there's also the other thing that we're seeing, Chris, is a lot of multifamily out there. A lot.
It seems like a lot of multifamily properties are coming on the market right now. It's interesting. Yeah.
How's the pricing on those though? Are they
some of them you can get for under 200,000, like 2-bedroom, 2-bath units that are under $200,000 a door. So you can get like a duplex for
get a duplex for
400,
425
and get two twos, where there will cash flow. So if anybody, there was a guy named Gary, and we Gary Benah, you remember him? And I tried over and over again to reach out to him. He was a young kid, and he wanted to do this. This is the great time. I must have called him like 20 times now just to let him know. And I don't know, maybe he found it somewhere else or whatever. He just hasn't called back. But there's really great opportunities for people that want to buy into the house
and live in one
and rent out the rest of the place. There's a lot of really good opportunities for that right now too.
And just to remind people, you can do multifamily up to 4 units with all your standard loan types. So FHA, conventional, and VA loans. You can do multifamily where you're occupying one of those units. If you're going to occupy, you could do the low down payment, right? So FHA at 3.5%, VA loan at 0% down, conventional loan as low as 5% down on a primary, but multifamily. So opportunities from a financing perspective, even if you don't have that investor style down payment. Yep.
Amazing.
And I love doing those. I especially love those for like people who are kind of wanting to get started in like their real estate,
absolutely,
real estate empire, right? Like, or they're just kind of like they're interested in real estate. They want to have real estate as part of their asset portfolio. It's a really good way to get started. Is that for maybe younger or whatever?
If I was to start over buying my first house, I would have bought a duplex, 100%.
There you go.
Yep.
Take it from the pros, Johnny.
I gotta tell you that speaks volumes. It really does. Makes me want to go buy a duplex.
I know a guy that can find one for you.
You know what? I'm a little juiced in too.
Now it doesn't work if you're buying one for you and then the other side for your wife. Like that's not ideal. That's not ideal.
Hey, that's not a bad.
It might be ideal from certain standpoints.
I was going to say, or as perfect as it gets.
Mike, that could be a trend. That could be a trend.
It's the new way. Divorce is too expensive. We're just getting a duplex.
It would be like I was never going to get a ring cam until I moved the wife next door. Too much. Thank you very much for being with us on a Saturday. We like to knock out 2 hours of infotainment. Hopefully you consumed the entertainment the right way. And of course, the information's valuable. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do, you have to have people that are great at what they do. You might know people that work in the field, and they may be some of your favorite people in the world, but it doesn't mean they're great at what they do. When you're making big decisions, you need to be supported by people that just understand the nuance. And if you don't listen to this show every Saturday, man, I'm telling you, this team, they understand all the nuance. They ride through all the changes, and they evolve tremendously. You can experience the best of the best. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, on Facebook, on YouTube. Share and like. Change lives, including your very own, with the pros at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Like Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Yes, sir. You too. Thanks, everybody.
Like Chris Pederson with the Florida Home Pros team. I hope you have a great weekend, my friend.
I'm going to be sitting on the beach the rest of the week.
Good for you.
Nice.
Yes,
Enjoy that.
I
Enjoy
will
that.
enjoy, and everyone enjoy.
Thank you very
Thong?
much.
No.
Damn.
Come on,
He is in my mind.
They want.
And of course, Jimmy D. Jim DePolo with the Florida Home Pros team. Keller Williams Innovations. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for everything always.
You too. Happy South Florida. Hey, Carl. Hey, Nate. Hey, Randy. Thanks for checking in the show this week.
Appreciate you all very much. On Facebook and YouTube, always there to consume. Do it. Share and like. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We knocked it all down. Jimothy, have an awesome weekend. Thank you for everything.
You as well, Johnny. Take care, bud.
Appreciate you. Greeks in the bullpen. We're going to squeeze out a sports show. You're invited to stick around. We'll be back next Saturday with possibly Dorothy Jacks, Palm Beach County property appraiser. Or is
The
that
week
a
after,
week from
I think.
Saturday?
The week after. Yeah.
We got big stuff coming every Saturday. Don't miss a show right here on Real Radio.